things that are considered to be harmful. Well, the things that are harmful, but then they are pleasurable on the other hand. And it should be any addiction. Just think of anything that you use or that you do compulsively that is going to make you feel better, but then it has negative consequences. And you can look at it in simple terms. Anything that you use or do which is going to make you feel something or which is going to make you stop feeling something. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the show Deen and Dunya. My name is Rahma Mustafa Ghani, and this is a show where we talk about different issues that we see in our society, in our community. And these things, most people don't find it comfortable to talk about them. So inshallah, we'll look at these things and find solutions to them. And today we have for you an interesting topic, which is harmful pleasures. And I have with me in the studio my co-host, my people. I have Habiba Abdullahi. Assalamu alaikum. And then I have Abdul Rashid Abdul Fatah.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Okay, so we said anything that is harmful but then pleasurable can be the things that we don't even imagine is harmful.
Yes, harmful.
So for example, I think things like social media also can be harmful. So I was talking to some kids the other day and I was like, nobody is saying you shouldn't use social media, but then how do you regulate it? How do you use it? There are people that are addicted to social media or their phones to an extent where when they wake up, first thing in the morning, what they do is they reach out to their phones to see the imaginary people online that will show some love to them. And I was like, even before praising Allah, thanking Him for the life,
for waking up,
that is, He has returned your life, before saying Alhamdulillah, alladhi ahyana, you know. And one thing you have to understand is when a person goes to sleep, it is as though you are dead, because Allah mentions in the Quran, Allahu yatawaffal anfusa hina mawtiha wallati lam tamut fi manamiha. So if you're sleeping, your soul leaves your body. So if your time is up, it doesn't come back. When you still have some days to live or years, then it comes back. How would you just try to look at imaginary people that maybe you don't even know from anywhere, instead of praising your Lord when you wake up from
I think it's where people's priorities lie. For some people, the things that they see as important are maybe their judgment is clouded by those things. I mean, because you find out that you keep on doing or having these things that you know that it gives you some sort of enjoyment, some form of pleasure or whatever, but in the long run or even in a short term, it is you see the damages, you see the effects of that thing. Like for example, I was talking to someone the other time and he said to me that he cannot watch because he watches a lot of movies, he cannot watch a series and like a season movie over a long period of time. Like he prefers to like sit at once and watch the whole thing from beginning to end without doing any other thing. And I'm like, okay. And he always complains that he gets headaches after. I'm like, okay, hello, why are you still? What's the big deal? Like you need to be calming down sometimes now. But it just goes to show that we don't really look at the effects of these things, and it keeps on going and going and going. It's like a negative feedback loop. The effect is also part of the cause, and it keeps on repeating, sometimes, going over
and
itself.
And sometimes, let's not forget that it's just the particular notion that Islam has a way of putting you under subjugation, that you're not allowed to live life, you understand that? The people think Islam does not permit pleasure and desire,
and enjoy yourself.
But I want people out there, you to know that desire and pleasure is not. There's a verse in the Quran that talks about that in Quran 5, chapter 4. It said, "Is Islam against desire and pleasure?" They asked, "What is permitted to them?" Say, all good things are permitted to us. So in that case, it shows you that Islam does not stop you from having a social life. You can coexist, but what we're saying is there is morality, there's the guide, there's something bigger than you, something that puts you in check, that Islam shows you a part of life that you could follow without breaking rules.
Or not like
Trying to
YOLO. You
yes,
only
not
live
your
once.
no.
That term, I
Trying
don't
to
know.
strike
What
a
is
balance
YOLO?
between
I
your
don't-
Western life and your religion that is very detrimental because people find that oftentimes, especially us youth, I think they find if you restrict yourself from those kind of pleasures, that means you're not really living life.
Yeah, they tell you
but
that
we know that
you're
pleasure
dulling.
is and desire is essential to man's being. You understand? But it's very important.
Don't you think that you can have these harmful pleasures from friendships, relationships, toxic partners?
Yep.
You'll see that these people are actually toxic and they're not making any positive impact in your life. But then because of the pleasure of the attention and the love that they give to you,
get from
you're still there.
You know that's a lot of people around us tend to impact on our decision or life choices. So that's why you see sometimes they tell us let's choose our friends wisely. Even though in so many cases it does not
It doesn't really go
predict
that
that.
way.
But the popular nation is tell me your friends and I'll tell you you are. But whereas in most cases it's not like that.
Not like that. In fact,
Because
no.
all fingers are not equal. If you
No.
think you're going
No.
to enter trouble, you go and dance.
There was
they'll give you
something I
money.
saw
The other person will
recently,
dance
and it
you
will be a
connect
different
with-
story. There was something I saw recently, and someone was like, it's no longer show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are, because me and my friend are not the same. I
completely
don't
different
judge.
people have different
So,
personalities. You
And
know?
then that issue of toxic friends or toxic partners, I think people mistake it a lot for compassion. If they especially in the aspect of marriage relationships, people are like, for the sake of I love you, I will just shut down and allow you to be doing your own. But sometimes you really need to understand when things are harmful to you. People refuse to listen to themselves. They don't really. It's like you're living life every day, but you're not inside your body. You're outside your body. Your attention is focused on every other thing apart from yourself.
You live
And
in
so
one fantasy.
exactly, you live in a fantasy. I tell people that, look, you need to be calming down and
The
just
pressure
look
to
at
want
yourself.
to belong,
Exactly.
to be part of the social strata. You
I
know,
think habits too can be harmful.
Yeah.
Example is, let's say you have a habit of maybe taking too much cold things, and it'll be like you're going to catch pneumonia or a disease.
There's this thing. A lot of
It's
people
pleasurable
these days
to
drink
you, or maybe you take too much sugar, and they'll tell
Something
you
else.
That one,
diabetes.
it's a
there.
very
I'm a culprit
dangerous
to
problem.
sugar.
Exactly. So habits too, I
Same
think,
here.
can be harmful pleasures as well.
And there's this aspect of also drinking tea nowadays. Yeah, I don't think that a lot of people will tell you that they're addicted to tea. Like most even meetings, it's like tea, and it's not like tea is so harmful, but if it gets up to a point where you can't do without tea, like your day isn't complete if you don't take coffee or if you don't take tea, especially caffeine is really addictive to some people. You need to people should really notice these
You know,
things
my
and
problem about
dial
this
down on
life
it.
is today's society nowadays is the pressure that we put in our head that never lets us.
Exactly.
The pressure, it makes us do unspeakable things, because sometimes if you put so much pressure on yourself that you want to belong or you want to have what A has and what B does not have, whereas we know that all fingers are not equal. Even from the beginning of creation, God never made us equal.
They try to compare their
So
lives to
that
others.
pressure
That
you put in
comparison is a
yourself
problem.
makes you want to find loopholes in life, or shortcut or something. Before you know, you find yourself doing things that is in completely opposite to your
Opposite.
faith or to your
Even to your
to
beliefs
your
and
morals
policies
and
as
beliefs.
your
You
own.
understand? But look, for example, if you're under pressure at work because you want to really make it out there, yeah, of course, Anche, yes, you should struggle to search for dunya, like you're not living it, and also search for akhirah, like it's just the next day. You
next
understand?
day.
But that pressure makes us go into different kind of habits. People that go into drugs, some people that go into God-forsaken marriages, all in the name that they want to fit in, or it is the in thing that are happening. You go and marry for the wrong reasons, and then you find out yourself in a toxic relationship, or
And you keep
were
on
going
suffering
or
day
you
by
want to
day.
go to school that you cannot afford. Or
That
you
one
want
is
to
a
be a
different-
doctor that your brain cannot carry because A is a lawyer or everybody is becoming a doctor.
I know some
Before you
parents
it,
cause
you
that
cannot-
thing
Yes, they put
because-
pressure before you know you start doing drugs or finding yourself in the right kind of company, or you want to study something in school but your parents do not want it, so you go and start hanging out with the wrong set of crowd.
But now, for example, if you see somebody maybe smoking weed or putting in substance into their body, the first thing that will come to your mind is, this person might not be useful to the society, or they might not be able to have a career or go to school or have a family. But I think the most important thing to notice is, even if this person now becomes clean later on, the stigma that comes with that stays with them throughout their lives.
The image has already been stained
Exactly,
by
and that's
people.
there's this person called Tony Hoffman. He was saying when he was seeing people around him trying all this weed and all that, he was curious and he was like, I just want to try this thing just
That's
once,
the
just
problem.
once. And that became an addiction for him. He took it just once. He was like, if somebody now told him before taking it that, see, for years to come or throughout your life, you're going to suffer from this stigma, he said he wouldn't have done that. But even when he was exonerated, you know, after his arrest, and then he started dating somebody, and her father now said, what are you doing with this man? Don't you know that he has a criminal record and all that? So he was like, this stigma would never leave him. So sometimes these people just need somebody that would just caution them and say, don't do this. So, but you'll see that everybody is just about himself, and
that's one thing. This nowadays, everyone is just, people don't really care anymore. Everyone is just for me and myself.
We forget that to err is human and to forgive is divine. Obviously, even God that we worship, we make mistake and we come back. But we're not saying that you should always hide under the nation and like fool over you. No, you are supposed to be accountable for your actions. You know? We might think we're in control of our own destiny, but ultimately, yes, we're in the hands of God. But at the same time, we need to caution ourselves. We need to be accountable for certain actions. We know that even logically, things that are detrimental to your health, you shouldn't go into it. Talk more of when you come deep down to the religious aspect. If you look at it closely, the Quran, or it does all the things that it wants us to stray away from, it's actually things that are going to be really harmful. They're going to leave a harmful imprint in our lives, or in our values, or how we coexist, or even to our health. Do you understand? But we just think we find pleasure in doing the things that would also causes us more damage. So what's the point of you, after finish smoking your lungs out, you now have lung cancer, and then you understand? But what does your life?
You expect people to feel pity, and the problem is that these things can
because
come
you're
from
of your own predicament.
Sometimes it comes from peer pressure, and not really. I won't even call it peer pressure. It just comes from pressure from people around you. Some people there are some things that you don't really see value in, like why would they do it? But because of that, I want to feel among, I want to belong. Some people will even tell you, Yoruba people will say, "Uti jasi," like you're not up to date now, you're not vibing. Okay? So it will now be like, okay, because you don't want to feel left out, it now makes a lot of people to go into a lot of things. Like some people they don't even, let me say, partying, but because of the fact that all their friends are partying, so they always want to feel among, and then at a point it now becomes something that they can't stop. When you look at these things, sometimes it might not even be as extreme as this smoking or drugs and stuff. As little as your phone, let me just say your phone, a person's phone. Like some people will tell you, people always want to justify. I spoke to some people. Someone was like, no, his phone is his PA, his assistant, and PA is always with him. I'm like, okay. Your PA is also waiting with you. When you wake up, your PA is waiting at your beck and call. So these little things, we need to try to look at
it has
how
a printing impact in our lives, you understand? But the little things we think does not amount to something is actually something, because it becomes a completely way of life, and then you realize that you're not even living, you're living for certain kind of people. We just to come sit down and just fit in, you understand, where you're constantly into the bravado of life that it says, okay, you have to feel, you have to among, you have to represent.
Yes, most of the times when you now realize, it's not like the time has just passed by, like the time has just gone,
and you've amounted to nothing.
That's true, and that's why we're asking the question, what are the things that you consider harmful but pleasurable? Dear viewers, it's still the show Deen and Dunya. We'll now take a short break and we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Exactly.